I'll give you some tips on how you can get effectively the same result of what you would be looking for in a balloon note without using a balloon and while still being regulatory, whatever, still being within the regulations, getting that qualified mortgage that you're looking for. So anyway, back to the point here, FV is going to be 0. We're going to keep that with 0. Well, that makes it much easier for us because, like I said, on this calculator, you need 4 out of the 5 things and it'll solve for that 5th one. Well, we already have FV, so that takes care of one of our items. So really now at this point in time, we just need 3 of the 4 things that are left over, which is really easy for us because I just told you those things. We know we're selling it for $100,000. We know we've got a 30-year note on it, and we know we want to sell it for 9.5%. So we're left over with our payment, which we need. So in number of payments, that is 360. For a 30-year note, that's 360 payments. Now, a cool thing about this calculator is you can use the calculator just like a calculator. If you don't know how many payments that would be, you can just say 30 times 12 equals, it'll tell you 360, and then you push the N button and it's gonna populate 360 into the N field, right? Next, we're gonna go to the interest per year. 9.5, you're gonna type in 9.5, you're gonna push the I/YR button. You're pushing the numbers first, and then you're pushing the field you want it to populate to. PV, we said it was gonna be a $100,000 loan, so we're gonna type in $100,000, we're gonna hit PV, and now we have 4 of the 5 items filled in. We want that 5th one, so we just push PMT, and it's gonna solve it for us, which is gonna be 840.85. Okay, so it's as simple as that. That's how you're gonna run these calculations. So if you had a $100,000 note, and you sold it at 9.5% for 30 years, you're gonna get an $840 payment every month for the whole 30 years. The cool thing about that, let me just show you a tip of why I love owner financing so much. You're actually gonna turn a profit of $202,000, almost $203,000. You're gonna total P&I earned is gonna be $303,000 over that next 30 years. Now, granted, this assumes maturity. This assumes going with the loan for 30 years the whole way through, but that's not terribly uncommon. That happens. We do have loans that continue through the entire life of their loan. People that do owner financed loans are a little bit different than people who do their typical conventional mortgages, right? But we just took an asset that was only worth $100 and made $303,000 on it, just by knowing how the power of interest works, just by figuring out how that calculator works and getting that going on there. So it's a really, really, really powerful way to do things. Now, I didn't include down payments in this because we'll get into that later. Again, I'm trying to be as stripped down and core as we can on this look. But this is why I love owner financing. You're turning a lot of money off of an asset, and it's crazy how much more money you're getting just from interest. So that example was, hey, if we owned this property free and clear, how do we sell it with owner financing? But we also have to fit our seller in there somehow, right? Like, what if the seller owns it free and clear? Well, free and clear sellers most often are gonna be older sellers. Most often, somebody that owns their house free and clear is gonna be above the age of 60. That's what I've run into, at least anecdotally. That's what I see. Excluding the high equity list, you know, where you're obviously looking for people that have that equity in there, probate leads tend to be where I see the most free and clear properties. Okay, so that's your seller profile. That's what you're looking for if you're wanting these free and clear deals. Now, the challenge to an older folk seller is that they don't want to sell it to you with financing for 30 years because the response I get is, I'm not gonna be alive in 30 years, right? So watch our negotiation series. I do have a video specifically on how to address free and clear properties to try and negotiate into an owner finance scenario so you're not having to reach into your pocket and put any money on the table. I do it all the time, it works, and I get, you know, interest rates either 0, 4.5%, 6% is about as high as I go on that, which, you know, you're just not gonna get much competitive from a bank for an investment property. But look out for those. One of the things that you need to know about your seller is what their bottom dollar is. Motivation is always your #1 target. Motivation is always one of the things I tell all my students, because I do personal mentoring too. So if you're interested, you know, creativecashflow.com, you can look me up that way and contact me. I do personal mentoring. But one of the things I always tell all of my students is I don't care what the seller wants. I care why the seller wants what they want, okay? It's a very small way of changing that thought process, but it matters. It matters, because we really don't. We don't care what they want. We care why they want what they want. Because I can't tell you how many houses I've bought off of reading between the lines and understanding what the seller's actually looking for and saying, look, you told me that you wanted $15,000 verbally, but what you explained to me is that you needed someplace to live for the next 3 months. So how about I let you stay here for 3 more months and we call it a deal, right? I do that kind of thing all the time. I don't like making people or letting people stay in there for a super long time, but I've read past what they're telling me verbally and I've saved myself $15,000. My payment may only be $800, something like that, right? And so I really effectively am getting away with spending a couple of $1,000s instead of 10 or 15, but I'm meeting their needs. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to always look for their motivations. So especially when you've got free and clear sellers, these sellers are usually a little bit more sophisticated. Again, they're usually a little bit older, but they understand what's going on with this deal. So you've really got to pay attention. You've got to ask those probing questions. You've got to ask open-ended questions, not yes or no questions, right? You want them to talk to you. You don't want them to say, oh yeah, that's me. You want to say, why are you looking to sell? You don't want to say, so you're looking to sell? Little differences in that. So watch the negotiation series so you can learn a little bit more on those kinds of things. Are they willing to finance it? Buying with seller financing is an excellent acquisition model. I love buying with seller financing because, as I mentioned in our basic understandings video, it's a way to buy an unlimited amount of properties every month. I mean, you don't have a limit to the deals that you can do when you're leveraging owner financing and seller financing. It's just an excellent way to get into a deal. How much money do they need today? What kind of today money they need? Today money versus tomorrow money is something that you're going to hear me talk about a lot because it's the basis of a lot of the decisions that you've got to make in your career. Because you've got to decide, am I looking for today money? Am I going to do some wholesaling? Am I going to do a fix and flip? Am I looking for today money? Or am I looking for tomorrow money? Is this something that I can put out as a rental? Is this something that I can do as a wraparound mortgage, as owner financing that's going to get me paid next year and the year after that and the year after that and the year after that? We need to balance that, okay? I'm a huge believer in tomorrow money. I love tomorrow money. That's where I really like to stick. But hey, especially when you're getting started, tomorrow money doesn't buy your groceries and tomorrow money doesn't pay for your car bill. So you need some today money in there too. Well, just like that, you need to figure out what their needs are. What does their today money need, right? Download our wants and needs pamphlet because it's got a kind of a unique way to look at this where you can sit it in front of your seller and explain to them, hey, you may want this, you may need this. Let's figure out what that is, and that way I can custom make an offer for you, right? That's one of the really big parts of the negotiation with somebody in this world is that you need to have a custom fit offer to them. They can sense when you're a hammer looking for nails, right? So that is one of the big parts of when you're negotiating, just really diving deep into what they need, figuring out what they're looking for, and what's actually going on with their today needs. I'll give you a tip. One of my big negotiation things that I like to throw out there is I like to say, do you have any pressing financial needs, like a medical bill or a broken down car or something like that that means that you need to get cash today? Because usually no. They may have something, and if they do, it's usually less than what they were wanting to ask for. And what that does is that sets up your negotiation with them. That says, you just told me that the only thing you need cash for is you need this $3,000 part for your car. So you're asking for $10,000, but you said that you don't need that. Now you know what's negotiable, and I love that question because that really knocks out what the today money is and allows you to start pushing towards that tomorrow money. Where do we make our money? Okay, where do we make our money? Well, okay, so we're buying with owner financing, that's great. We acquire with owner financing. We can dispose of that property however we want. You can rent that property, you can owner finance that property out, you can fix and flip that property, you can wholesale it, you can do whatever you want once you've acquired with owner financing. That's one of the things that to really point out to you guys is that owner financing can be used on the acquisition and on the sale. It's not just something that you use one way or the other. And even though you may buy subject to, or you may buy a free and clear property this way, you've got the ability to take it wherever you want from that. It's your property. That's your decision to make from there. So in order to figure out what you can offer this seller, now that we've kind of talked about who the profile is, some little basics about how to pitch your idea to them and what you can do with it. What you've got to do is you've got to back into the deal. Now, backing into the deal is how you actually figure out what is the number going to be on that contract that you hand them. What is the number going to be when you spew out, okay, I can offer you this, right? Backing into the deal is how you get there, and this is a huge skill. So watch the next video, the backing into the deal video, because that's the key. That is really how you figure out what this house is worth to you right now, today, figuring that out based off of information that you're getting with comps, with rental comps, with whatever that is. You've got to back all of the financials out of that, and then you can offer your seller what needs to be offered.
Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way, move. Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way, move. Get out the way.
Get the Propelio mobile app and drive for dollars today, all without leaving your car.